the key to harmony.
Hi everyone and welcome to Health Focus with Value Life Dietitians, your go-to space for real talk on health, wellness and everything in between. My name is Yolenda Dippenaar and I'm a registered dietitian with Value Life Centurion. I'm all about helping you to nourish your body, but we all know it's not always just what is on your plate. What's really eating at us can go much deeper, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. You can have the perfect meal plan and a lot of discipline and still feel empty and disconnected. It is tied to emotions, identity, and even parts of your story that you haven't healed from yet. And if we don't address those deeper layers, no diet or meal plan will ever truly satisfy. Let me give you a few real-life examples. If someone's identity is wrapped in perfectionism or the individual is a people pleaser, they might restrict their eating to feel in control, leading to issues like chronic fatigue, nutrient deficiencies, or disordered eating patterns. Or on the flip side, someone who feels broken or stuck might emotionally eat as a way to self-soothe, creating cycles of weight gain, inflammation, or digestive issues. And when restoration hasn't happened, when past wounds are still bleeding under the surface, it can show up as chronic stress, poor sleeping patterns, high blood pressure, or even hormonal imbalance. The body keeps the score, and it often whispers through symptoms what the soul is screaming. That is why today we are going beyond the plate and going to focus on the heart of the matter. Because when we nourish the whole person, body, soul, and spirit, this is where real transformation begins. To help us dive into this today, I've invited Charlene Davids, a life coach and counselor who walks with people through healing and discovery. She's here to talk about identity, restoration, and empowerment. Please welcome Charlene. Charlene, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Yolinda. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today.
I've mentioned she's a counselor. Charlene, let's start at the beginning. Tell me, what is counseling really?
Yolinda, I think we can all go onto Google or ChatGPT nowadays and say, what is counseling? Well, many of us have preconceived ideas as to what counseling is, but to me, what I've experienced in my own life and what I experience with my clients is counseling really is helping people to help themselves. It is the most powerful position that you can actually give someone to help themselves with guidance.
To know themselves.
Exactly. We're looking at a holistic point of view. We're looking at spirit, soul, and body, because we as humans are three-dimensional. So we never just address a problem in one specific realm, but we look at the person as a whole and we see, but where is it that there is restoration needed? Where is it that there are different thought patterns needed? And where is it that we can actually show the person and guide the person to find the answers themselves as well?
So who would you say needs counseling? Is it only people that needs to come to you that had trauma maybe in their life, or is it anyone that actually can come?
Absolutely, counseling is for anyone. And why do I say that? Is because we as humans, we go through life, and in life we can pick up wounds, we can go through trauma, or not even trauma, we go through experiences that shape our character, shape our soul dimension, our mind and our emotions to such an extent that we get wounded, we get hurt. And we don't know how to deal with that, we don't know how to process that, and we allow that to affect our relationships. So really, from young people to older generation, everyone has a need for someone to hear them and to be listened to in a space where it's a non-judgmental atmosphere, where there's no condemnation, where there's no criticalness that we look at, but we actually allow you to be yourself and to be transparent and to say it as it is so that you can find the counsel and the guidance that you need to empower yourself.
Yeah, it's like they say, you just need somebody to listen to you.
Absolutely.
You don't need somebody to not necessarily tell you what to do, how to fix it, just listen.
That's correct.
But there's a saying, you have two ears, one mouth.
Yes, yes.
You've mentioned earlier, you've talked a lot about identity and you must know who you are. Can you tell me a little bit more about identity? Why should we know ourselves?
Sure, Yolanda, I think that identity is one of the most crucial aspects that we need to know in life from a very early age. Now, when we mention identity, I'm sure a lot of people think, the family culture that I come from, my background, and yes, those things are important. It does shape our identity to a large extent. But I've come to realize that we cannot move forward in our purpose in life unless we know our identity in who we are. Because no matter what happens in life, life is full of surprises. There is highs, there is lows, there is setbacks. And knowing your identity will help you to create a comeback out of every form of situation that you might be in. It will build that resilience for you to be able to go back to the drawing board and say, but hang on, let me remind myself of who I actually am and what capacity I carry. Without identity, we can't shape our futures. We can't have the right view of what we want to achieve in life. And a lot of people, especially women, if we grow up with a father figure that might not have been the way we would have wanted that father figure to be, we can get into a whole future of wrong relationships, wrong choices, and it can stagnate or delay us. So one of the most Googled questions as well is, who am I? And then second to that, why am I here? So we cannot answer the second question unless we actually know who we are. And in counseling, we help you to discover who you actually are and how you can bring that person out instead of having the mask up.
Bringing it back to food and identity, isn't it true that sometimes people find their identity in food or in what they eat or the feeling how they feel when they eat?
I think definitely yes. Most of us, I think, enjoy food. But the problem comes in when we try and substitute a feeling that we are wanting to get from food versus knowing who we are. Because it starts with our thought patterns. What we think, what we meditate on will result in how we feel and in what behavior we actually display. So if we are thinking wrong thoughts towards ourselves, it's going to create a certain emotion and lead me to maybe taking comfort in food. And it can become a form of substance abuse as well. Many times we think substance abuse is hardcore drugs or alcohol, but it can be other things that we place reliance in to make us feel better about ourselves.
Maybe if you think about taking your coffee, no? So when you drink coffee, you relax. So now I'm very tired, I'm very stressed at work, now I take coffee, and again, and then we end up with 16 cups a day.
That's quite a lot.
I do see those people.
Wow.
And then they put in 2-3 teaspoons of sugar, and then make that calculation. Then you end up with a lot of sugar, and
Yes.
then again an unhealthy habit, as you said about the
Correct.
habits.
Correct. So I think mindfulness is very important. Mindfulness, what am I doing and why am I actually doing this? But it comes back to knowing yourself. Knowing why do I react like this in certain situations and what gap might there be that needs restoration in my life. And through that journey of counseling, that is what we want to try and discover and find out, what am I substituting to make me feel better about myself versus just being the incredible person that I've been designed to be.
That's powerful. So tell me, if someone just feels lost or disconnected, how do you walk the road with them, basically towards restoration?
I think it's important that we discuss that upfront, and that is what I do with my clients as well, to say that you are not coming to me just to find a solution, because it actually involves your participation as well, because it is your life. So we start with looking at a roadmap of your life. And I find that when I ask the person if they're coming with hurt or they can't really figure out why they're feeling the way they are, we're looking at their relationships, we're looking at the way that they grow up. until we actually get to the root of the problem. You know, many times we go and we go for assistance and we treat the symptoms, or we buy something to treat the symptoms. We might go on retail therapy or substance abuse or eating, and we don't treat the actual root, but just a symptom. So I help you identify what that root cause is, and we uproot that root.
Yes, then you can actually get healing.
Yes, now healing can come, and we, you know, sometimes we have hurts and we put a Band-Aid plaster on it, and we expect the wound to get healed without ripping off the plaster. So we have to rip it off, look at it, face it, and deal with it so that we can grow, find restoration, healing, to ultimately be empowered and to walk in the purpose that we've been designed to walk in.
Charlene, the word empowerment is everywhere these days. But in your words, tell me a little bit about empowerment and how do you incorporate that into your counseling, especially when you look at maybe your faith background?
Empowerment is a word that's thrown around very loosely. Everyone's screaming empowerment, especially women empowerment. And it's a buzzword, but what does it really mean to me, especially as a Christian as well? So to me, empowerment means recognizing that everything I need is already within myself. And it's not been placed there because I am good or because I've studied in a certain direction. It's been placed there because of the grace of God and because of the purpose that He has for us as individuals as well. But I have to recognize it, and I have to allow that gifts to come forth. And the same as with everyone that is watching, there's a unique ability on the inside of us that no one else carries, that makes us able to function the way we do, that makes us able to fulfill our assignment here on earth. And that is what we need to be aware of and need to develop. And that is true empowerment. Knowing that I don't need to look on the outside for things to empower me, but it's already within me. To dream again, to align that dream and the vision so that it becomes part of God's blueprint for you, and to take action. You know what, we were speaking earlier, and it's so true that the world doesn't owe us anything. People do not owe us anything, but we owe it to ourselves to actually get up and to show up every day for ourselves and for the people around us that need us, and to take not just action, but massive action towards our goal and the future that we want to see.
And that will help you to also then transform into that beautiful garden or that beautiful flower that God has envisioned you to be.
Absolutely, a beautiful flower, and together we make up this beautiful collection of beauty and splendor and grace, so that we can be of help to others as well, because ultimately that is also why we are here, not just for ourselves, but for others.
Charlene, we are talking about health and diet, and then we are talking about your body, soul and spirit, and the root problems, and then we talk about financial help for women and how to empower them. How does all of this come together, and why do we talk about this on a health program?
That's a very good question. I'm sure sometimes people think, what is this now about? We're speaking health, but now, like you say, there's finances and everything. Remember, there are so many areas in our lives that works together. And I just want our audience to go and think for themselves as well. Was there a time in my life where financially it did not go well? Was there a time in my life where physically it did not go well? Was there a time in my life where I went through maybe a bad patch at work? I didn't get the promotion I wanted to. My business was not doing well. A relationship ceased. There was maybe the death of a loved one. Did it just impact that area in my life? No, it impacted my whole life holistically. So if those areas are not healthy and constantly getting healthier, then it's got the potential to contaminate all the other areas in my life, and I'm not as strong and able. In fact, I'm totally weak to make a success of my life and to be the person I'm supposed to be. So everything works together.
So if there's not total healing in those areas, you will see the symptoms come out maybe as stressed, or maybe as imbalance in your body, or maybe as a sleep pattern that is disturbed.
Absolutely. Even if we go a little bit more serious, I mean, when you look at people, like I'm not now saying this is for everyone, but there are evidence that also shows that people have chronic diseases. So a lot of times it comes down to there's hurt, there's unforgiveness, there's bitterness, there are soul wounds that causes a reaction in the body and that cripples you from running the race that you're supposed to run. So everything works together, and there's a scripture that I just love. It says, I pray that you will prosper in all things as your soul prospers. And our soul is our mind, our emotions. So if those areas is not prospering, then am I actually prospering in life? I think not.
Charlene, it's been so good to get to know you a little bit. Charlene actually comes from Cape Town, and she has moved here recently. And where are you staying? In Centurion?
In Centurion, yes, in Swartkop, and we are loving it here. We are
great.
Totally in love with this beautiful area that we live in.
Tell me, you have worked amongst women in Cape Town, and you have had workshops, and you really touched a lot of people on that side. What can you offer the broader Centurion community?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because I believe that nothing we do is for ourselves. Everything has to have a bigger purpose. And I am a registered counsellor, so I would love to offer my services to women, to young girls as well, who might be struggling in the area of relationships, the labels that people have put on you from the past, the self-condemnation, the lack of self-confidence or self-worth, or shame or guilt or anxiety or fear that you might be struggling with and you do not know how to overcome that. I would love to be able to sit with you and walk through your journey with you to find out where does it come from and how can we walk a path of restoration so that you can be free to get into your purpose and your calling. And I'm also a financial coach. So what is financial coach, you might ask, is because of my background. I was actually in corporate in banking for 25 years, and I realized that there are so many women out there that have a need to grow in their knowledge of basic finances, because if that falls apart, every other area in our lives is affected. So I also offer that as a coach. And then also a bit of life coaching when it comes to just direction, clarity on where I'm going to, what I need to do to actually get there quicker, and holistically be a happier and healthier individual.
Body, mind, and spirit.
Absolutely. And I find that when it comes to the workshops as well, you know, you're saying body, mind, and spirit. When we have women present in a room, they are physically present, they are emotionally present, they are mentally present. It works so much more, you know, benefit for everyone, because we can also learn and grow from each other. So because of that, I also offer workshops, and I'm also available to come to your office or to your function that you might have as a speaker, not just to motivate you, because what is motivation? You know, it's like a glass of Enos that you drink, and when the fizzles are out, you feel flat again, but to actually inspire you, because once you're inspired, no one can take that away from you, and to put strategies in place of how you can get up out of bed every day and feel inspired. And you will only feel inspired when you're moving towards your purpose and knowing your identity as a strong, healthy individual.
I like that. It's not just about motivation, but about transformation. So much about what we eat or don't eat can be linked to how we see ourselves. As a dietitian, I've seen how emotional and spiritual wounds can show up in our food choices. That is why conversations like this with Charlene is so important. When you reclaim your identity, embrace restoration, and live empowered, everything begins to shift, not just your health, but your whole life. Thank you so much for joining us on Health Focus today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time, and remember to also feed your soul.